And as Lagos residents await to see the emergence of the next local government chairman and councillors for the fresh 4-year term, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, said the autonomy of the local government is not negotiable to help further the democratic process, give voice to the grassroots. The Speaker said this after exercising his civic right in Ward 008, polling unit 14 in Surulere. He was disappointed, rather, over the failure of the card reader not working in his polling unit, and the Speaker is of the view that the opposition parties in the country need to up their game and help checkmating the ruling party.
I'm not going to say I'm impressed as to the turnout. Turnout is low. But what is more important is, for me, the peaceful nature of the election, what I've seen so far. There is no violence anywhere, there's not that I've heard of. People are orderly, people are conducting themselves in a proper way and voting for candidates and parties of their choice. That is more important than anything. It's another, but one would have wanted a higher.
Ola correspondent Ola Awakan joins me now in the studio for more updates on what he saw on ground. Good to have you, Ola. So yes, the elections, you understand, was largely peaceful, but voter turnout was quite low. Could you tell us exactly what you saw while you were at the polling units today?
With the reports that we have seen so far, we would see that the reflection of low turnout from all the areas being covered by a correspondent and myself, shows that people are no longer interested in coming out to exercise their franchise.
Really, why is that?
A large number of, polling units that that I personally visited this morning. Some people were out, to cast their ballots. And some felt disappointed when they had to wait hours before the electoral officers, could come around. Some left, some came back. And in all, the voters' apathy is just being, demonstrated at this, local government election. And you could see from the, sound bites from the, public office holders that they've all owned up that generally the low turnout is there. And everybody is calling for more voters, sensitization, enlightenment. Maybe the government or the independent electoral, body, they've not done enough to sensitize the people, or the people have lost trust in the process. They've lost trust in the people in the process, and probably the leaders. So they are finding it difficult to come out and they go through the same process, having the mindset that maybe their votes, do not count. But what these people are saying is you cannot continue to say your votes do not count. If you don't participate, then there's no need for you to complain. That they need to come out and participate, and electoral bodies need to do more sensitization, and away from that, even individuals need to, talk to your friends, because now you could see that most of the things that people do now, you'll be required to produce your, voter's card. It is beyond having your voter's card. What's the usefulness of a voter's card that you don't take to the, to the polling unit?
Right.
You're just having it for maybe for a job or for other things. So it is necessary to note that voting is a critical aspect of democratic process. If you don't come out, if you feel sitting at home to watch what is happening will make a change, it will never make a change. So that's what they're coming out to. For some of the polling units that I touched today, the elections mostly didn't start at 8 exactly. Some started at 10. Some, the electorate came on board. Security operatives were there, on time. But since they didn't see anybody, some of the electorate had to go home. Some had that patience to come back and all that. So it's just a reflection of the fact that voters' apathy need to be addressed.
Right, and aside from voter apathy, you made a critical point, which is trust, which most voters do not have on the institutions at present. So what can we do? What can government and the necessary authorities do to ensure that people's vote count and they believe or they trust the process, so that in the next elections that we might have, in subsequent elections, we would have a larger turnout of voters?
I think the trust, you need to build the trust. That's number one thing. If I don't believe in a thing, there's nothing you tell me about it. If you don't call back the trust that I've had on something, if you don't call it back, I will still see the same fault in it. You know, for instance, there's something I personally have seen, and most people, you know, that I spoke with also talked about, that you don't wait till few months or few weeks to election before you start, you know, rolling out campaigns about the essence of voting, about the essence of electoral practice and processes and all that, you know. But you know, it is obvious that few days to or few months to election, you start telling people about election, and people who have actually lost already, they've lost trust. So they will just see it as a cliche. Oh, it's just a few weeks. Before you know it, they'll start talking about it. And even at that, how often do we, you know, do this sensitization? Do we do it in, you know, I could remember, you know, back in the days during the time of, you know, MKO Abiola and all that, the way some of us could sing some of these, you know, sensitization campaigns, not even campaign songs now, you know, sensitization for electoral process, and calling people to come out to vote and all that. Do we do that now? How often do we have, you know, campaigns of this nature? How often do even media houses are, you know, to be blamed in this? You know, how many media houses have taken it upon themselves to say, okay, yes, I need to take it as, you know, as our own responsibility to, you know, to sensitize the public on the essence of voting? Because sincerely, with what, you know, I saw out there today, people, the trust is no longer there, and the government, the, you know, electoral bodies need to work more, you know, to ensure that the people get back the trust, so that when it comes to electoral, you know, exercise like this, they can come out, and when they cast their ballots, they know that their ballots
will count. Exactly. Thank you very much, our correspondent Ola Awakan. We appreciate the insights and updates as well on the local government elections in Lagos State.